might have been to this business before, and you might have walked by it a million times, but do you really know what makes the Clarkson Makeup Studio? This is a brand new, raw, and real show. So it's my first guest, Aubrey Stack, and you guys today are going to find out what really makes a business owner. How does this all get here? Is it just glitz and glam, or is there actual hard work behind the scenes? And you guys are learning exactly that today. Aubrey?
Yes.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Aubrey, real quick, can you tell people a little bit about who you are and the Clarkson Makeup Studio briefly?
Of course. So actually this week, February 1st, 4 years ago, is when I signed the lease on the makeup studio. So yeah, we started construction then, and it was always a dream of mine, something to do. I didn't know that I wanted to be an entrepreneur until I actually did it.
I want you to hold that thought too.
Yeah.
Take us back to, I mean, even to high school. Where does the story begin?
Well, the story begins with me probably being an extremely driven person. Always an athlete, wanting to excel and be the best at what I did, for sure. All the way through college, everything.
You were a college athlete?
I was,
okay.
Yes.
And you went to what high school?
I went to Holly.
Holly High School?
Yeah.
Earned a scholarship to play volleyball where?
At Northwood.
At Northwood, okay. So you're definitely driven?
Yes, I have a business degree.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Okay. Brothers, sisters?
I have two younger brothers. I call them my baby brothers, but they're older now, so yeah.
So college volleyball, and then you said you didn't know you're an entrepreneur, but where did this all start? Where did this drive take? What was the journey like after college?
The journey after college, I got my first job out of college in so-called corporate America, and I worked for Southern Living magazine for timing. So,
Southern Living magazine.
Yeah.
And that's when, this is during what years?
That was 1999.
So this is when it was huge, right?
Yes,
Southern Living
print
was huge.
Yes. So print was huge, print was big in the Motor City, all the auto companies are here, so that's why we were here.
That was your very first job out of college?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. A recruiter found me because I was a college scholar athlete, actually.
Ah.
Yep.
Okay. So that's what that was the dream? That's what you wanted to do?
Well, it was advertising, so I thought, oh, it's going to be creative, it's going to be great. It was a great job. Just as the 2 years went on, I just found out I wasn't fulfilled or satisfied. It was monotonous and not quite as creative as I once dreamt it to be.
So what happened?
Well, I ended up deciding that I wanted to go back to school to get my esthetician's license, and that would kind of preface me into starting my makeup career, but I had to learn about the skin first and all different kinds of aesthetics instead of just makeup itself.
How old were you when you were at Southern Living, like when you decided to make that leap?
I was 25.
You're 25 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Really good paying job. I mean, really good, awesome.
Yeah.
Print's doing great.
Well-known company.
Well-known company.
Yeah.
You're 25.
Yeah.
Were you single then? Was it, like, what did you have back then, like, as far as that?
Yeah, I was single then. I was also engaged at the time to a relationship that didn't work out, but
Okay.
it was something that I wanted to pursue, so I went after it, and that was before Instagram and Facebook, so ultimately my makeup skills were self-taught, and I did an apprenticeship after I went to school. So.
Wow. And I asked that question just because when you have that nice paying job, you have like maybe some responsibilities, and you go to the makeup stuff, how big of a risk was that? And financially, with everything, I mean, everything you studied, your college, how big of a risk was that for you?
Huge, huge. I gave up my well-paying job to go back to school as a 25-year-old, and I didn't know how I was going to pay my bills. But it was, I mean, essentially it was just me. I didn't have children yet. I didn't have other financial responsibility, you know, like a business or employees or whatnot. But still, it's scary.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen.
Especially at 25 too, because that's when you kind of feel like you should be a grown-up by now, right?
100%. I'm like, am I too old to do this?
But what was that driving factor? I guess if someone's watching this right now, like, and they might have the same thought, like, what was it that just made you say, I'm going?
Honestly, I talk about moments, and there are certain moments that you're going through life and you have them in your, what did Oprah call them? Aha moments or something. The person I was seeing at the time, he had asked me, well, if you don't want to do this and you had one thing that you wanted to do for the rest of your life, what would it be? And I said, makeup.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's like, well then why don't you do it?
And that's how it started.
That's how it started, yeah. So
right.
It was simple as that.
So the journey gets going. You
Yeah.
jump in. Now what happens?
I went back to school, completed my esthetician's degree, and then kind of took a roundabout way to my apprenticeship. So I worked at a salon managing for a little while.
Where was this at?
In Bloomfield Hills.
Bloomfield Hills. Okay.
And then I got a job at working the desk, answering phones at Alex Emilio Salon. And my mentor, very well-established makeup artist who worked there. My underlying reason for working there was to ultimately work with her one day.
Work with her, okay.
I was a client of hers, and the very first time I sat in her chair, I asked her if she would ever take an assistant. I didn't know her, I knew of her, and she's like, okay, well, nice to meet you as well. We'll talk about this at another date.
So you are driven.
Yeah, so I'm persistent. And it took about 3 years, I think, for the salon to expand, and she was taking her first apprentice. And I called her up one night after work, and I said to her, I know we're expanding, I know you're taking an apprentice, and I would like you to consider me.
This is 3 years after you asked her the first time you said it.
28 years old.
Holy cow.
Mm-hmm.
So you're 25, this good, awesome paying job, Southern Living. Leave this to go 3 years to answering phones, to be an apprentice under somebody.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so she said, okay, well, you asked me 3 years ago when you sat in my chair for the first time, and if you're still thinking about it, you must be serious. And I asked her point blank, I said, do you think 28 is too late to start a new career? And she's like, no, absolutely not. So I started with her, I remember, June 7th, and it'll be 14 years this June.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. I worked alongside her with her for 8 years. 8
years alongside with her?
Yeah. Learned her craft, learned what she did, had a specific niche when it came to eyebrows, and that's what makes my business, that's what makes it different.
Okay,
So.
you have to open my eyebrows a little bit later, but so that's
I
8
think we
years.
have some openings. So.
Okay, good. That's 8 years of doing that.
Yeah.
In those 8 years, what's it like? Like, what was there? I mean, adversities? Was there? I mean, was it all just smooth or just learning?
It was a lot of learning, but it also was, for me, establishing relationships with clients, getting them to trust me. And I was very fortunate because her books were very, very full. Mm-hmm. So when I came into the picture, people were waiting for somebody to work for her so that I could step in, take clients, because if she trusted me with her clientele, then they trusted me. So it was a very reputable place to be. I mean, in that time period, in that 8 years, got married, had a few kids.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You had all that happening too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just a few things.
Yeah. And how many kids do you have?
I have 2.
2 kids.
Yeah.
And another thing too is that in that 8 years, to work for somebody else and to keep that relationship for 8 years, that's tough to do with any job.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you're kind of taking orders, but at the same time, it seems like the relationship had a lot of trust to it. How did you grow as an individual the most in those 8 years?
I established my own clientele. I have my own style. Even though we all do the same thing, the same type of work, the same makeup artistry and tweezing eyebrows, it's different. So people would come to me because mine might have been a little bit different than hers. So you establish a relationship, and there are clients that have been with me the whole time.
Wow.
You know, and sometimes I can't believe it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's 8 years. Then what? What happens after this? Because I'm just going to recap. But Southern Living, great job out of college.
Yeah.
Goes to be an apprentice. Does it for 8 years. Yeah, a lot of kids today would be like, that's way too long.
Right.
But you do it for 8 years, then what happens?
Then, you know, things get a little rocky in my personal life, and I actually, for reasons for my family and for my, you know, spouse at the time, I ended up making the choice to leave and support my family and go back to corporate America. It was a very difficult decision, and it was very, I would use the word devastating for me to do, because leaving something that I love so much was hard. So I had to make tough choices, and with kids and family, we have to do that sometimes, and it's not pleasant, it's not easy.
This is really interesting, just because we're sitting here in this makeup studio right now, so
yeah.
Something happened after that too. You went back to the corporate job for the sake of your family. What happens next?
I worked in corporate America again. Again, I seem to have this string of these wonderful jobs. I worked for USA Today.
Oh, wow.
And for actually the same boss that I had at Southern Living.
Wow.
He called me every year. He would call me to see if I wanted to come back and work for him.
Since you left Southern Living?
Yes.
He called you every year?
Every year, yep.
Wait a minute, that's like 8, 9, what is it, 10 years?
Yeah, yeah. He would call me and he'd be like, "Are you sure you don't want to come back?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "You know, I'm working for USA Today now. You can."
Wow. Well, shout out to that guy. That's persistence in the making right there. Jeez.
Yeah, he was a fantastic boss, and actually someone that I reference now often. And him and I meet up for breakfast, and you know, ask him what employees need and what they like to feel appreciated. And so when he called me the last time, I said, "You know what?" I said, "You need to let me think about that for a minute." And I called him back, and I knew it was the decision that I had to make for my family at the time. And so I went back.
And then what?
And he couldn't have been happier.
Yeah, I bet.
USA Today, Gannett, they're fantastic. It was a fantastic company. I found myself in status meetings and, you know, going to visit clients like GM and Chrysler and Ford, and just being part of the office. And while my boss was extremely comforted to have me there, he didn't have to ask me what to do. He was like, "Oh, I don't have to ask." He's like, "You'll just take care of it."
Perfect.
And so I think that brought him great comfort, but pretty much I was miserable.
On the inside?
Yeah.
So he had a good working person, but on the inside you were still feeling this calling.
Yes, there had to be something more. There was something else. I had a good friend that I made in the process who sat in the cube next to me, and I'd tell her, I'd be like, "You know, I really do makeup and eyebrows." I'm like, "Can I do your eyebrows?" And I know she must have thought in the beginning that I was crazy.
Yeah, why is this chick checking on my eyebrows?
Yeah, but it ended up being something where, you know, 6 months down the road, I'm sitting in the conference room on lunch hour tweezing her eyebrows next to the window.
So you cannot get away from this. So how long did you stay at the corporate job?
I was there 2 years.
2 years?
Mm-hmm.
That's a long time too.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
It was about a year and a half in where I started thinking about like wanting to open my own business. And I thought, well, demographically speaking, Clarkston I thought would be the best. I had a lot of clients from here, and people always used to ask, you know, why don't you come north? You know, then we don't have to drive down here. And I did some research and thought that there's nothing north of Birmingham, or Rochester rather, that does what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I had this place targeted, so I thought, okay, so basically pounding the pavement for 6 months or so, going into shops,
This is while you're still working a job?
Uh-huh. Yeah, asking, "Hey, do you know of any place for lease in Clarkston where I could put, you know, a makeup studio in?" And people would look at me like, "No." Okay. So then somebody suggested here, so I came in here. Bob, the gentleman that you saw in the hallway.
Yeah, I wasn't supposed to be there, but I met him, yeah.
Yeah. So you should talk to him for a minute. He'll tell you how persistent I was.
Okay.
So I would call him every month at the end of the month, hey, you got anything for me? And he's like, no, nothing opened up yet. So by the time that I chose this place, there was a smaller unit available, and I thought that that would be appropriate. I was nervous about this space because I thought it would be too big. It's not, but, but
I think what I just want to highlight real quick is you're working this corporate job.
Yeah.
You're going to find a building, and you're not a realtor.
No.
You don't have any of this experience. You're just knocking on doors, pounding pavement, and you're leaving your corporate job again, right?
Yeah.
And like, I think for everybody watching this out there, if they have that feeling, that kind of calling to them, and you're just doing it.
Yes.
You don't need this education of being a realtor or being all this. You're just figuring out as you go.
Yes.
And that's amazing.
Thank you. Yes, no, but just walking in local businesses, asking if anybody knew of anything. That's the only place I knew where to start.
That's awesome. And now we're here.
Yes. Yes.
So fast forward to now, because obviously this opened.
Yes.
Was it smooth at the open? Was everything good?
It was, it didn't look like this.
This is beautiful.
Yes, so this was everything that was in my head that came out in real life. My whole family was here, so it was a family project. My dad, my granddad, my uncle, myself, the kids. There's writing underneath this paint where they were little, so they would just come in and draw on the walls before they got painted. And we knocked down walls, and you know, my dad, my uncle, my ex-husband, everybody, people chipped in. They laid the floors, and it took us about 2 months to do the reno.
Wow. And you said you saw this in your head?
Mm-hmm.
So you visualized this?
Yes. This is what I visualized. And I had people trying to put in input, like my dad, are you sure you don't want some color or something?
And you're like, no, this is
I'm like, no, I want this, I want wallpaper, I want just the best lighting I can have, and kind of went from there.
Do you practice visualization? Or is it just something that just kind of comes in your head while you're walking around doing your thing?
You know what, I don't practice visualization, I say it out loud to myself. So I say, okay, this is what I want, and you can even ask the girls here, it's kind of funny, or I tell my clients, doing my fitness competitions, I'm like, well, I'm going to do back, and I'm going to do better than I did last time. Like, I'm going to win this time, or I'll say it out loud, so that the more that I say it out loud, the more, it doesn't prophesize itself, but I truly believe that what you say comes into fruition.
I do too.
Yeah.
We didn't even touch on that because I am a fitness owner. All right, so I am a fitness guy. I do own a gym, so we haven't talked about fitness at all. But during this journey of leaving the Southern Living, going to the apprenticeship, going back to USA Today, to where you are now,
Yeah.
Where did fitness come into play? How did it help you, if it did?
Absolutely did, 100% without a doubt. Fitness came into play. It was always a part of me. I was always an athlete, but you know, having a couple kids, getting a little sidetracked, not feeling so good about yourself, I realized that I had to do something. So when I started like weight training, and I touched on a little bit when I was in college volleyball, but never really did anything consistent or extreme. After I had my kids, I would do like Jillian Michaels 30-minute ripped in 30. So I got the post-baby bod rack in the basement with the kids napping. You know, I had to do what I had to do.
Yeah, because you're building a business, doing all this stuff at the same time, right?
Yes.
It's tough.
So when I started weightlifting, I actually went over to VIP Fitness and started with their weightlifting program there. And I liked it so much that I continued with it month after month, and the stronger I got physically, the more clarity I had mentally.
The stronger you got physically, the more clarity you have mentally.
Yes. It was my therapy. Building a business, raising kids, going through divorce. It was something that I woke up and I couldn't wait to get to the gym 5 o'clock in the morning every day. And if I didn't miss. Like if I did, I didn't know what to do with myself, but it was what I was into at the time, and then that made I transitioned into, okay, well, how can I take fitness to the next level? And taking that to the next level, I'm like, somebody throws it out there like, hey, well, why don't you compete? And I was like, I don't even know what that is. And then they started showing me pictures, and I was like, that's a thing? So, of course, I was intrigued, and my athleticism and my competitive nature and my drive kicked in, and I was like, yeah, you know, I think I want to do that. So I stepped in, and a year later, I did my first show. So that was, what, 2016?
Okay.
That was the same year I got forced, 2016, and I've done one every year since.
Wow. And how are they going?
The first one I placed, I got the 4th place and 5th overall.
Nice.
2nd, 4th, and 5th, and then last year was my best year so far, and I got, I placed 4 times. I got 2nd.
Wow.
In 40 and up. So I'm nationally qualified now.
Nationally qualified? Yeah. Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
When I add to the list here.
Why not? That's what I said. That was one of my themes. Why not? Am I going to compete? Why not?
I want to get to the good part of where you are now.
Yeah, of course.
Before I do that, I just want to say, just from hearing you talking fitness, and you woke up at 5 a.m. and still did this. What I want, to know is fitness when you're working out is kind of a form of meditation. It lets your thoughts come clear. You get to feel like your inner soul comes out.
Yes.
Do you think this fitness and working out led you to more of your calling? Because that calling was still in the back of your head of doing the makeup and doing all this and feeling that. Do you attribute your fitness to those thoughts?
100%. Yeah. There were a lot of days where I didn't know, could I get through a workout today? I don't know, with the personal struggle I had going on. Mm-hmm. And there were some days I would literally load that squat rack up and I would bawl my eyes out because my personal weight was so heavy that it literally outweighed whatever was on that bar. Mm. So for me to be able to get through that workout and get through my personal struggle for the day was huge. So every time I did that, check mark for me, So, yeah.
That's beautiful.
It's true.
I love hearing that stuff. All right, so let's get to where we are now. Okay. You guys heard this journey, college athlete, awesome job. Left it, came back. She's here now. What is this? And what has this done?
This is, we'll call it my baby, per se. So.
It's won some awards, right?
Yeah.
What are those awards?
2016, I got Best Specialty Shop, voted by the readers of Clarkston News in Clarkston. And then just this past year, I got the 2018 Small Business Leader of the Year. So.
2018 Small Business Leader of the Year.
Yeah.
And this all stemmed from your calling, pretty much saying like, hey, you can keep trying to leave us, but we're going to bring you back to this makeup stuff.
100, yep. And
this is all you. This is, you talked about your kids writing on these walls. You can talk about all the hard work and sacrifice and the things you've done for your family. And this is why I want to do a show. So people, when they come in this makeup studio, they can know like what they're standing on is something she literally visualized in her head.
Yeah. And
worked tooth and nail to make this happen. And you mentioned the kind of eyebrow niche that you have. I mean, that's truly developed through you. You don't have to be here. You literally could be somewhere else doing a corporate job, but you're doing what you love.
Yes.
And that's why I want people to see this and people to know the great people in our community. But you guys are going to get to know Aubrey even better because you have a little event that you got invited to, right?
Yes.
Do you mind explaining to them what this is?
Sure. Every year Clarkston Chamber of Commerce does the Women in Business Luncheon, and every year they have keynote speakers in. So this year, myself, along with 3 other, I call them girl bosses, 3 other prominent businesswomen in the community, they've been asked to speak as well. So for me, it's quite an honor, 4 years in, that I get to do this and share what I know about owning a business, marketing, self-promotion, all of the above to the women in the community.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm excited.
You should be. You earned it.
Yeah.
Well, Aubrey, that is all I have for the show, guys. This is, again, what this show is going to be is going to show you guys what really makes up these companies, these business leaders, these leaders in the community, these people who don't ignore that calling that you guys might be feeling while you're watching this right now. They go after it and they chase it. This is the real and raw show. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.